Thank you. All right, here we go.
Your mind to Santa Fe's non-GMO,
Here we go.
purely organic source of common sense. This is Call to Reason with your host, Loveless Johnson III, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader.
All right, here we go, y'all. See if Instagram will work for me now. Here we go.
I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say
all right, y'all, here we go.
I should say them loud, say them clear, for the whole round world. I wish I could share all the love that's in my.
Welcome, Santa Fe. Welcome, world. You're right here with Loveless and Beth on Call to Reason. Right here, Talk 1260 and 1037 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader. 8:07 a.m. on a beautiful sunny Sunday morning here in Santa Fe. We're a little partly cloudy at 39 degrees right now, on our way to a high of 60. But fall is in full effect here. We've got snow cap on the mountain, and it's just a wonderful day and a wonderful season in Santa Fe. We cannot wait to get on my snowboard. Beth, how are you this morning?
It's great. It's partly cloudy here in Jersey City and 47 degrees. We're going to hit a high of 50 today, but it's, God, we had a gorgeous day yesterday, so can't complain. I mean, it's quite lovely, even at 50 degrees.
Gotta love it. Well, Beth, of course, there's a lot to talk about this morning, and I know that everyone wants to talk about the Khashoggi scandal. Khashoggi, I've got to understand how to pronounce Khashoggi. Yeah, Khashoggi. You got to pronounce both G's. I know that's a big issue right now, but Beth, I actually want to lead off with a little different issue, and that is President Trump now saying that he and the GOP are going to come up with a big new tax cut. Targeting just the middle class. He just made this announcement yesterday, and they essentially now are so desperate. They know the jig is up. They have their own internal polling, Beth. They know that the American people see through this tax sham that they passed, and they see through even further and even less pleased about the latest one they did in the middle of the night during the Kavanaugh controversy. And now Trump and the GOP in desperation are saying, Beth, that they want to focus on a tax cut targeting the middle class. They want to focus on a middle class tax cut. And what this is an attempt to peel off more of the fringe and grow the cult, Beth, by expanding this big cash grab from the federal treasury that wealthy people are enjoying right now, thanks to Trump. Now they're trying to expand the giving from just the 1% to perhaps maybe the 10%, right? And they're trying to grow their own cult base by giving away free cash to maybe the top 10% now. But folks, what they're calling, and we already know what a propaganda machine the Republicans are, and Trump especially, okay? Anything that's called a benefit to someone is usually the exact opposite. And so what they're calling a middle class tax cut would simply be for the top 10%, which is still not middle class and wealthier than everybody else. That's how I view it's going to go down, if it even happens. But they're saying, Beth, they're going to get something passed before the midterm election.
Well, that was exactly what I was about to say, Loveless, because, and I know I live in a bubble in my Facebook world, and in fact, I have declared my Facebook page not a democracy, and I just don't put up with people's foolishness on my Facebook page. But I will say that there, in my feed, is a photograph after photograph showing long lines of people early voting. That's what this middle class tax cut is all about, because I think they're getting scared. And
they're so scared right now, Beth. It's pathetic. And with all this, violence that Trump is trying to incite, praising a member of Congress who actually physically assaulted a reporter for simply doing their job. Okay.
Yeah.
While and out of the other side of his mouth, he's claiming that it's the Democrats who are angry, violent mobs that everyone needs to vote against, so they can. And like that's going to make the so-called angry, violent mobs go away.
Well, there was another. What are they called? The group of young men or men that kind of like the Charlottesville style of crazy actual violence inducing.
These Proud Boys.
Proud Boys. They just had an incident with them in Miami, and it was so bad that actually Marco Rubio took a break from tweeting Bible verses to say something about it. And so, I mean, there's a lot to discuss today. And with regard to the journalists, there's also, when we pick that back up again later on in the hour, there's another journalist, it was reported in the Independent UK, who exposed the Panama Papers corruption. She was killed by a car bomb in Malta. Trump is inciting violence against journalists, and because we're no longer we're no longer the keepers of morality when it comes to journalism in the world anymore, that people are doing things because they know they can get away with it, just like what happened in Turkey at the Saudi Arabian consulate. This is or at the embassy. This is getting worse by the day. Trump is inciting more violence by the day while pointing his finger at the left. Total Joseph Goebbels style propaganda going on there.
Yeah, he's following the Nazi playbook, and he continues to push the limits to test how far toward fascism he can creep. And of course, the cult, since they are on board hook, line, and sinker, it doesn't matter what he says or does. They're going to follow him regardless. What I continue to caution the rest of us on, and why it's so critical that we do get out to vote this year, Beth, is because the only way to stop it is with our full commitment to not allowing that to rule the day anymore. We've simply got to vote it out because there are so many members of the GOP who have been entirely complicit simply through their inaction and their enabling, through their silence. Their silence has enabled this. They've looked the other way. They must be thrown out, folks. All of the Republicans who have voted 90% with Trump's agenda have to go because they are enabling a movement toward fascism. They are enabling the move toward fascism. And we cannot allow the 60% of us who see what's wrong, don't agree with these tactics in this administration, understand the damage is being done to our country. The only choice we have is to get up, get out, and show up, right? To the polls.
Show up, but early vote.
Early vote, that's correct.
Early vote.
Send the message.
Early vote so that your vote is counted early and so that you can use your election day driving other people to the polls.
And
making phone calls, reminding people to
right.
go to the polls.
Especially those of you.
It's not just enough to vote this time.
Especially those of you who are unintimidatable, like Beth and myself. Because we already know white supremacist groups is being widely publicized how they are planning voter intimidation tactics on election day. They've already taken a whole busload of seniors off the bus who were headed to vote, claiming there was some sort of technical blah blah blah. You read story after story after story after story about disenfranchised.
In Dodge City, they shut down a polling place in Kansas, in Dodge City,
Right.
just a few weeks before the election, and this polling place is predominantly Latino.
Yeah.
If you have time to volunteer so that you can go to one of these places, North Dakota is the same way.
Oh, North Dakota's a lost cause. Beth, we got to take a short break. We'll be back to talk more about what you can do to make sure that folks are voting and that you vote and your vote is counted and you are not disenfranchised. This is serious business, folks. Our lives depend on it. You all stay tuned right here to Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader. It is 8:16, and Beth and I will be right back.
Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTR.
All right, everyone. Thanks for being here with Beth and I on Call to Reason. Hit the share button if you haven't already. We appreciate you being here. But please share. Help spread the word. Team Red Pill is here to serve you. And we are very, very, very happy to have all of you here with us. Beth, this voting thing, you know, the egregious way Brian Kemp has purged voter rolls over the past several years has been exposed. But, you know, the encouragement, I was on Facebook yesterday and I saw my good friend, Pastor Timothy McDonald in Atlanta,
Yeah.
and he went to vote down in Henry County somewhere, and in the rain, people early voting, standing an hour in the rain to vote, and the very, very encouraging news and encouraging signs, because we know all the crazies are going to be there. We know they're all going to be at the polls, so we got to get the 60%. Folks, we don't have a choice. We got to get out. We've got to get out. We've got to do it.
So some shout-outs early this morning. Fellow Honey Badger, Kristen Oblander, and Democratic fundraiser extraordinaire for the Southeast and really everywhere. But she's watching us this morning. Hey, Kristen.
Hey, Kristen.
Also, our friend Marissa is watching there from Santa Fe. Hey, Marissa. Good to see you. Good morning, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, Loveless. I mean, it's like I said earlier, too. This time it's not just enough to vote. This time you got to get in your car and drive people to the polls.
Right.
And it's important. I'm going to early vote here because I'm going to be in Atlanta for the elections coming up on November 6th. So I'm going to early vote tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm in Atlanta, I'm going to make a plan to do what I can to volunteer for Stacey Abrams and also the candidate running for lieutenant governor that Kristen is fundraising and working for as well.
And who is that candidate, Beth?
I'm going to look her up right now. Her name just escaped me. I haven't had enough coffee this morning. Kristen's on there. See if she will plug her candidate. Sarah Amico. She is a entrepreneur, business lady in Georgia. She's got a great shot. She's running against it looks like, who is it? David Schaefer, who was in the Senate in Georgia for a while. But here, I'll pull up some information. It would be awesome to have a female governor and lieutenant governor in Georgia, no?
I think it would be amazing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be amazing.
Sarah's amigo. And, she actually faces Jeff Duncan for Lieutenant Governor of Georgia.
Okay. What do we know about Jeff Duncan?
Not much. He's like an unknown quantity to me. Obviously, I know David Schaefer because, here we go. Republican, Duncan is running.
Oh, we got 20 seconds, Beth.
Yeah, we'll revisit this. I don't know. Oh, he was in the legislature too.
Okay. Here we go. 15 seconds. Hey, Rod Roberts in Phoenix.
Post my time in Atlanta. It's crazy how time goes by and then you don't know anybody there anymore.
I know, right? We're has-beens, Beth. Here we go.
Your dose of common sense and
We're
reality
yesterday.
radio with your host, Loveless Johnson III, on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader.
All right, here we go.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't back down. You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. No, I stand my ground. Won't be turned around. And I'll keep this world from dragging me down. Gonna stand my ground. And I won't back down.
Welcome back to Call a Reason, everyone. You're right here with Loveless and Beth at Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader. 8:22 a.m. on a partly cloudy Sunday morning. 40 degrees right now on our way to a high of 61. They're saying in Santa Fe it's going to be a partly cloudy day, and we've got some snow headed our way later this week. That's going to be another good day. Looks like Monday night we're going to get some more precipitation, and Tuesday as well. So we'll probably get more snow cap on that beautiful mountain we have right here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I want to welcome everyone listening this morning and watching around the world right here from the studios of Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC. Thank you for being here on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, and thank you for listening at santafe.com, and thank you so much for listening to us right here on our live radio signal. Beth and I, let's jump right back into this voter suppression thing. North Dakota, of course, the Supreme Court, and this is, folks, why it's so important that we vote, because elections have consequences. The Supreme Court just upheld a ruling that has essentially and effectively disenfranchised thousands of Native American citizens in North Dakota by requiring them to have physical addresses in order to be able to register to vote and to vote. It's not enough to have proper ID to prove that they're American citizens. Now we have this haggle over voting over an address of which tribal members on tribes don't have. They use post office boxes.
Right.
That should not matter whatsoever, but the Supreme Court has upheld that the voter suppression tactic initiated in North Dakota was indeed constitutional, and that a physical address would be required if that is what the state wants to enforce. So the only way the tribes can re-enfranchise themselves won't be until the 2020 election cycle, and they're gonna have to figure out a way to create streets on tribal land so that they can at least have physical addresses to prove to get beyond that voter suppression tactic. The only way they're going to be able to do, because obviously it's run its course through the courts.
Well,
in North Dakota,
they're actually working now to assign street addresses to the Native American tribes prior to this election. But, I don't know how they're going to do that in time. Hopefully they'll be able to, and I understand that there's an army of volunteers and people there trying to get that done ahead of the midterms. but you're absolutely right. There'll probably be a lot more work to be done ahead of the 2020 election cycle. But you can be sure with Kavanaugh on board, particularly if, as gerrymandered as the House is now, if the Democrats do take over the House, this is only the beginning. There will be case after case after case seeking to continue to disenfranchise likely Democratic voters. And I'll tell you something else, Loveless. I am so aggravated with some of the members of the media right now. I saw on Twitter that the New York Times posted requests for African-American people who voted for Trump. Like, they are actively posting saying, did you vote for Trump, and are you being squeezed out of your family events and with friends?
Really?
Tweet us if you are. And I'm just like, there are people right now who are being disenfranchised in this community because they're going to vote overwhelmingly Democratic in the midterms, and they want to talk about maybe, I don't know, less than 10% of voting block right now because the story is what? I don't know, interesting. Let me just tell you, I am sick of CNN and all these folks sending journalists out to these small towns, predominantly white small towns, doing these stories about the Trump voter. And now they're trying to draw in the smallest fragment of people of color who support Trump ahead of the midterm elections. Why do we need Russian bots when we have our mainstream media doing the work for them? I am over it.
Yeah, the mainstream media has been a huge disappointment in this whole process because they continue to help spread propaganda. They don't cover stories. Like the fact that Trump's trying to ram through it. And who's going to pay for another tax cut, even if it's well-intended? Where is that money going to come from? We already have ramped up the debt and deficit way past what was projected. All the promises they made about this tax cut paying for itself were wiped out by Trump's tariff policies and inflation from rising interest rates. And so now everything is costing more, and we're not making more as a nation. It's a ridiculous farce, Beth. And what folks need to know is that if you don't go vote right now, early voting, and get there by November 6th, we know these voter suppression tactics are going to go into overdrive. We know that they're going to do everything they can to prevent you from voting. They're going to be white supremacists in the street with their open carry AK-47s looking for trouble, trying to intimidate you. The resolve of rational, common sense patriots in this country must not be defeated. We cannot let the reverse psychology of Trump trying to rally his base by saying the Democrats are angry mobs, lawless, trying to let every immigrant in the country. All this propaganda they're spreading and the cult members are eating up hook, line, and sinker. You must resist, and you must know that the cult members' response will be to go to the polls and vote. Your response has to be equally strong.
This deficit is as if Ronald Reagan and George W. had a love child and then jacked it up with steroids.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. I'm going to play a clip, though, from Ronald Reagan later in the show, Beth, to refute and really wake up the non-cult members about the assault that's about to happen to our parents and grandparents if we allow any of these Republicans to go back to Congress in January. I'm going to explain exactly the most important reason why we cannot allow the Republicans to control Congress come January 2019. And I'm going to play a clip from Ronald Reagan to back it up. Y'all stay tuned. We're going to take another short break right here on Call to Reason. You're with Loveless and Beth at Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC Santa Fe's News Talk Leader. We're going to take a short break, and after we come back, we're going to talk more about this murder in Turkey at the Saudi consulate, and we're going to talk a little bit more about a whole lot of other stuff. And of course, after the top of the hour news break, Beth is going to tell somebody who deserves it to shut the hell up. So y'all stay tuned for that. And you stay tuned to Call to Reason. We'll be right back.
buffalo soldier, dreadlock rasta. It was a buffalo soldier in the heart of America, stolen from Africa, brought to America, fighting an arrival, fighting for survival. I mean it when I analyze things. To me it makes a lot of sense. How the dreadlock rasta, buffalo soldier.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader.
All right, everybody. Thank you all for being here with us. We are very, very much happy to have you here. Beth, what was the hot top issue for you this week? Can you hear me, Beth?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. What was your top issue this week?
Yeah, I'm very concerned about not just the murder of the torture and murder of this reporter, but the subsequent discussions that, when Trump went on and bragged about the fact, that people liked it when the Republican lawmaker from Montana body slammed that reporter. In fact, he mentioned the exact words, body slamming over and over again. And now we have this other reporter who was killed in a car bomb in Malta. This is what concerns me. And I'm also somebody who's very critical of the press, but I understand how much we need them right now. And so I get so frustrated with the access journalism and the type of coverage that we get. But these reporters that we're talking about have done the hardest cutting news. And I get it, that it's a danger and people are putting their lives on the line. And so I want to honor them in the midst of the criticism. I mean, these people are not doing what the White House correspondents are doing, which is the White House correspondents disappoint us nearly every day. Not all of them, but many of them do. So those are the things that have been that's been top of the mind this week. And also, one of the things that I've been doing on Facebook too is declaring what I'm not going to click on. And what I've done is just take screenshots of things on with my phone rather than clicking on stories. Stories that are access journalism based, that have a predetermined narrative, just like how that Twitter, that tweet that I was talking about earlier, openly trying to seek out members of the African American community who voted for Trump. Clearly that is a predetermined angle to a story, and that reporter does not know one personally or through their network of 6 degrees of separation, do not know someone personally enough to actually interview them to do a story. They're fishing for it. And so to me, it's important that we don't click on these stories. And the thing is that when the click means that you're seeing the advertising, and it means that reporter is going to get kudos. And one of the things, especially after the election, that I would like to focus on is becoming activists around responsible journalism, just like we are with politicians, and how important it is for us to really take care to validate what we're posting on our social media, follow reporters, not necessarily networks, specific reporters that you feel like do a good job. I certainly do that. Sarah Kendzior is one of my favorite people to follow. And anyway, this is something that I would like to do. In fact,
Oh, here we go.
I'm thinking about also. Oh,
Common sense and reality radio.
Yeah, we gotta start. We gotta shorten that wind. Gotta shorten that wind.
KTRC, Santa Fe's news talk leader.
Yeah, we have fun with it too, y'all. That's right, baby. We on the move. Ain't no stopping us. No stopping justice. No stopping freedom. No stopping righteousness. We are gonna win, y'all. Faith over fear.
But now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go. And where we'll end up, I don't know.
I know where we'll end up, folks.
dang, I love that song.
We're gonna end up.
You.
I know where we're gonna end up. We're gonna end up with the American way being restored to America. We're going to end up with our democracy back. This isn't about taking the country back, folks, in 2018. As we talk about it at 8:37 right here from the studios of Talk 1260 and 103.7, right here on Call to Reason, Beth, we know that this isn't a moment. This isn't one of those racist bird whistle calls, bird dog calls, take the country back. No, folks, this isn't anything like that. Here's what we got to take back. We have to take democracy back. We have to take democracy back, ladies and gentlemen. Because that is actually what's on the line right now. Donald Trump is doing everything he can with GOP enabling and support to turn our American democracy into a tyrannical fascist regime. We do not have an administration in the White House right now, ladies and gentlemen. We have a regime. Huge difference. Google it. Huge difference between the regime.
He's an authoritarian leader. There's no way around it.
Yeah, and he's done everything he can to turn a democratic institution into a regime, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a kleptocracy.
Your vote is critical because we must take our democracy back. The democratic process of governing this country has gone awry. And the mainstream media is propping it up by publishing and printing propaganda more than they do real news nowadays. In some ways, they have turned themselves into fake news.
Yeah, I mean, access journalism. So this is sort of a buzzword of late, but access journalism essentially means, and particularly with the White House correspondents, that in order to have access to the president and people for interviews so that they can have, I guess, full articles, they practice access journalism, which is in order to have that access, they throw them softball questions, or they're not as hard as they could be on the president. I mean, and they're also doing it for ratings. Let's not forget that the president from the get-go told us what he was going to be like when he descended down that golden escalator and started calling Mexicans rapists and drug dealers. He already exhibited fascist tendencies day one, and Democrats and Republicans both agreed about that in the beginning. They did. So now then the media decided to go wall to wall with Trump because he was bringing in ratings. And the fact that he was already excluding media from events, he was already exposing himself to have fascist tendencies, But in spite of that, they still carried him wall to wall because he brought in the ratings. This access journalism, all access journalism is a rubber stamp for propaganda. That's all it is, Loveless. And we as consumers of this journalism need to start holding reporters and our publications accountable. And I'm not saying that they need to be more democratic. I'm saying that when there are factual things happening where the president is presenting himself as an authoritarian dictator and cozying up to other dictators and putting on rosy-colored glasses over a columnist from the Washington Post getting brutally tortured and murdered. This whole idea that you have reporters actually reporting Republicans and the president putting on rosy-colored glasses saying, oh, that guy, he wasn't such a great guy. This is disgusting.
That's been the most alarming part of the whole thing is that, number one, before Americans or really the world even found out, Khashoggi had already been murdered for over a week before anybody even knew about it.
That's absolutely right.
He actually was murdered. He was murdered, but here's a little puzzle piece to drop on the table, a little Lego block to build the conspiracy robot with. The day that Khashoggi was actually murdered was less than 24 hours. Nikki Haley submitted her resignation less than 24 hours after Khashoggi was actually murdered, which was a week.
Yeah.
So then a week later, we hear about the murder, or 10 days later, we hear about the murder. And then it goes on another week, dragging ass, coming up with the right excuse that becomes ultimately something no one believes. No one, except Donald Trump, thinks that is a credible, no one thinks it's a credible explanation other than Donald Trump because he knew about the murder before it took place. And Beth, the White House and this administration, in their knowledge of what the Saudis plan to do, maybe the Saudis told them they were just going to abduct this guy and interrogate him or whatever. And then he ended up dead and they said, oh, well, too bad, we're sorry. But I know for a fact that Donald Trump and this administration knew that there was going to be a movement against Khashoggi before it happened. And just like, and he's acting like, oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Let me ask the king. Let me see if he knows what happened. All of them know what happened. All of them know what happened. And Donald Trump, just like he did with Stormy Daniels, denied. And then all of a sudden, boom, the real truth comes out. Yeah, fool, you knew the whole time that you were paying off this porn star for her silence. You said you knew nothing about it. You heard about it after the fact. You helped plan it. There's audio evidence that shows you helped plan it. And we're going to find out, folks, that yet another massive lie that makes this country look so bad has been told. Trump, in my mind, his knowledge of the incident before it happened, Beth, that makes him complicit, as far as I'm concerned.
Let's peel back that Nikki Haley onion that you just started in on.
But before you do, Beth, we gotta go to a commercial. But I want you to hold that thought. I want you to hold that thought though, because we wanna unpack the Nikki Haley piece even more, and I wanna just get everyone to pause for a moment to hear me when I say our president, the president of the United States, folks, was complicit with murdering a journalist. He knew about it ahead of time. He said nothing. He tried his best to cover it up as long as he could. And then when the jig broke, he said everything was cool. Our president was complicit in murdering a journalist, ladies and gentlemen. Do you not get that? This is why you got to get to the polls to vote. We're going to take a short break, Beth. I need to take a blood pressure pill. And on the other side of the commercial, we're going to talk more about this and a lot more. And, of course, Beth is going to tell somebody, y'all. I just cannot wait to hear who it's going to be. But she, indeed, is going to tell someone who deserves it to shut the hell up. Beth, you want to give folks a hint on the front side of this commercial break before we go?
I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to build up the suspense.
Not even a little teeny bitty.
Well, it's a member of the media.
Uh-oh. Folks, we already know how that turns out when Beth starts talking about the media and her disdain. We've had so much to talk about that way, and we're going to talk a lot more. You all stay tuned right here to Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader. You are on Call to Reason, and we'll be right back. We hope everyone is having a good time. We're having a great time right here on Call to Reason. We hope you all are having a good time too.
Okay, so we got some shout outs.
Okay.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense.
Okay, Nor Jones does such a good job with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Trinell Woods sends us his hello. Tana Bay Battis.
Tana. Hey, Tana. Hey, Patsy.
And then
Good to see you, baby.
William.
William.
Good morning. And my friend Nico from Atlanta, from the ATL. Hey, man. Yeah, so Loveless. Yeah, it's a member of the media that I'm telling to shut the hell up today.
Okay, cool.
And I've told him to shut up before, but it was a long time ago.
Trinell Woods, homegirl, what's going on? That's my high school homegirl from way back. Good to see you. Good to see you, Trinell. Thank you for being here. Listen, Beth.
And I posted on the thread Sarah Amico, the candidate for lieutenant governor in Georgia, her website address for folks, because I know that Stacey Abrams has been getting a lot of attention with the media because of all the negative stories about Brian Kemp suppressing the vote there, but having a lieutenant governor in that bully pulpit for Democrats and for progressives would be a big deal in Georgia too.
I think so. I think so indeed.
Yeah, and I don't know much about the running mate at all. He must have joined the legislature after I left, just recently. So we'll figure out a little bit more. We've got a couple of shows before Election Day, so we can get into that a little bit more, kind of get deeper into the Georgia ballot, because we have so many listeners and Facebook viewers and social media viewers from Georgia. So from when we had Call to Reason in Atlanta.
Yep. And I do want to again thank everyone who are here with us.
Oh my God! Do you know who just joined?
Who?
Baton Bob.
Baton Bob! What? Well, all right. Hey.
Oh
We've made. Hey, now we've actually arrived. We finally arrived.
My favorite Baton Bob sighting was I was at the my friend Alyssa and we decided to have a go bougie drink at the St. Regis in Atlanta. And Baton Bob was there, and so we totally ambushed him to get a selfie. Oh my God, we love you, Baton Bob. I bet Baton Bob is out like twirling the baton, telling people
To vote.
to go to the polls and vote. I hope that that's what you're doing with yourself right now, because we need everybody on board with that. Although I don't need to tell Baton Bob that. He's probably all over it.
Baton Bob is actually probably leading a parade down Peachtree to the early voting polls. Right? I would not be surprised.
You know what? I'm going to post in this thread for our viewers and listeners who are from New York, where I am, in Santa Fe, where you are. There was this awesome sort of write-up about him in this blog called what is it? It's called The Bitter Southerner, which is this great kind of modern take on living in the South. And the writers there are really good. I'll put the website into this thread for anybody who's interested in reading about it. But he's an Atlanta treasure, that's for sure.
Oh, he's one of the best. Baton Bob is one of the best. Okay, we've got about 15 seconds, and we are going to be back.
A hint about who needs to sit their ass down?
Oh, no, I'm going to keep it a secret until the next commercial break, but it's going to be crazy.
Okay.
It's going to be crazy, though. Here we go.
Now back to Call to Reason, your dose of common sense and reality radio, with your host, Loveless Johnson III, on KTRC, Santa Fe's news talk leader.
You may contain the urge to run away, but hold her down with soggy curves and breathe blows. Citrazine, your feelings with me again. Never kisses, or do you ever send a full stop? Do you know where the walking go? They go on to take you home. Right down how we build our breakfast and say my love, love, love. Muscle to muscle, toe to toe. But there is good in me, but here I go. My heart sings and I come out. Your hand is tied and my heart is shining. Do you know?
Welcome back to Call to Reason, everyone. You're right here with Loveless and Beth, your Team Red Pill, bringing you your weekly alternative to alternate reality and healthy dose of common sense. Beth, we were talking, we were right on the hot button when we hit the break. You want to jump back in where you were?
Yeah, so we were talking about Nikki Haley, and I'm interested in peeling this back. The former ambassador to the UN abruptly left.
Right.
I got a bad.
Right. Yeah, she abruptly left.
Sorry, I've got a bad reverberation. So she abruptly left, and we thought that she was leaving because she was upset about the Kavanaugh hearings and the fact that Kavanaugh was still nominated, especially ahead of the midterm elections. There was speculation that she left because she anticipated that the Republicans were going to take a bath in the House and did not want to be part of this administration whenever Trump lost so badly. And on top of that, that she had presidential aspirations. But what I find to be extremely interesting is your take, which is that she left knowing about this torture and murder at the embassy, at the Saudi embassy in Turkey, and that she wanted to back off, and perhaps she left abruptly because she did not agree with the administration's take on this and didn't want to get her hands dirty. What is that where you were going?
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going with it, because again, there's credible evidence that the administration knew about this operation to grab Khashoggi before he was actually taken and killed, before he actually went to the consulate in Turkey. Now, before he actually went to the consulate in Turkey, that's what that's what everyone knows, that the administration knew about him. They knew of the plan to kidnap him, to abduct him, to take him into custody, quote unquote. They knew about that ahead of time. Okay, which means Nikki Haley knew about it as well. The National Security Advisor knew about it. The Secretary of State probably knew about it. But we know the National Security Advisor, John Bolton, and we know Nikki Haley probably knew about it. And yeah, then okay, so they know about the operation. They know the operation is going to unfold. Then they hear from the Saudis, we have Khashoggi, everything has been handled. He's gone. And Nikki Haley is like, what do you mean he's gone? Gone where? Oh, he's dead. What? 24 hours later, she resigns. A week later, we find out about the Khashoggi thing, but Nikki Haley already knew about it. The whole administration knew about it. And this was something they had hoped perhaps maybe wouldn't come out, or it would come out in a way that she could be so far away from it by that point. She could not be, as you said, have her hands dirty in it. But certainly I believe that her abrupt, and by all accounts, an abrupt resignation by Nikki Haley, without explanation and with no real places to look for why that would be, I believe we've stumbled on to a firm, incredible connection to her resignation, Beth, associated with this Khashoggi matter.
I think that that's a very astute observation. And I can't help but go here, but I'm going to have to go here. Can you imagine if a Washington Post columnist was tortured and murdered in a Saudi embassy in Turkey under the watch of Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State? Can you imagine what would be going on in Congress right now?
Yes, and I'm observing the utter silence. Well, it's not utter because the Republicans and Democrats in Congress are roundly in agreement that there's going to be some major blowback from them on this whole thing, which is somewhat encouraging. But again, with enough Trump snake oil, the Republicans will slowly fall back and peel away and lose their enthusiasm and resolve. There are already a number of them in Trump's cult camp who are trying to discredit Khashoggi as I speak and start to try and link him, say he was linked to the Brotherhood, the Islamic Brotherhood, and he might have been a terrorist and blah, blah, blah. All white supremacist rhetoric designed just to...
What he said in the beginning, out of the gate, from the get-go, he might have been a columnist for the Washington Post, but he's not a U.S. citizen.
Right.
He's a resident.
Well, here, Beth, we're going into the news break here in just about a minute. So I just wanted to point out also, Beth, consider this. Yeah, you're right about Hillary Clinton. If she was Secretary of State or if, Colin, any of them. But here's the real point. Donald Trump's behavior on this indicates that he's okay with what happened.
Yeah.
And that means that what American journalist is going to be lured into some American consulate? What American journalist who tells the truth about Donald Trump, which one of them will be lured into some consulate in a little small country and murdered by the CIA at Trump's behest, since we know he doesn't care about, and he actually supports violence against the media and against journalists. Y'all let that marinate. We're going to take a short news break, but when we come back, Beth Indeed is going to tell somebody who deserves it to shut the hell up, and I'm going to tell the fool who deserves it as well to sit your ass down. Y'all stay tuned to Call the Reason. You're right here on Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader. We'll be right back after the news.
And try to sleep, but sleep won't come the whole night through. Your cheating heart will tell on you when tears come down like falling rain. You'll toss around and call my name. You'll walk the floor the way I do. You're cheating hard.
You're listening to Talk 1260 KTRC AM at 1037 K279 CX FM Santa Fe and streaming live at SantaFe.com.
U.S. walking away from treaty.
All right, we're going to talk about the USA walking away from the nuclear treaty as well, Beth, on the other side of the break.
Yeah, I've got that story pulled up right here on BBC News. Gorbachev has come out against it and against us pulling out. Putin says that he's upset by it too, but everybody knows that that's BS because he would love nothing more than to be able to escalate the nuclear race, because that's really all he's got over there in Russia. So, yeah, this is and also he's just shitting on Ronald Reagan's legacy. I don't understand how he can get away with uplifting and going back in time and saying how great Ronald Reagan was, and saying that he's emulating Ronald Reagan, and then doing away with one of the hallmarks of the Ronald Reagan presidency, which was the nuclear arms deal with Russia.
I mean, it was one of the catalysts for bringing down the Berlin Wall and taking away a huge threat factor.
Those are the two things that you know Ronald Reagan for. The meetings with Gorbachev, where
it makes
they
you.
and Nancy Reagan totally pushed him to do that too. She said every great president has to end on a legacy of a peace treaty like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of the Cold War with Russia, was Reagan's legacy, and now he's just shitting on it by withdrawing this treaty. And what it does, Putin, he can say that he's upset about it as much as he wants, but we know that's a lie. There's nothing more Putin would love to do than to ratchet up nuclear arms production.
No, there isn't, and that's Trump's justification though for pulling out, that Russia's been cheating and ratcheting up their nuclear arsenal the whole time anyway. And because the president is so untrustworthy, he's so uncredible to me, it's hard to know whether or not that assertion is real, because obviously if that assertion is real, we should be doing something about it. We should have been doing something about it a long time ago if it's been happening as Trump says it has. I'm just not so sure it has, and that's my dilemma. I just don't know what to believe. But I certainly think Putin is playing Brer Rabbit and acting like he's upset about it, hoping he'll get thrown into the briar patch. Obviously, he's hoping for that, because if they have been violating the treaty, then now they're just going to go gangbusters on it. But so will we. And what is the point of ratcheting up a new nuclear arms race with enough science and common sense out there after all these years for all of us to know that the nuclear war is not winnable by anyone? There is no such thing as a winner in a nuclear conflict.
What point is there when both sides have enough to already annihilate the other anyway? What's the point of more? Right.
I agree. I agree totally.
And what a waste of money. That'll just add into our debt.
I agree totally, and that's the thing. Good morning, Brother James, my frat brother, line brother from Southern U, Beta Sigma Chapter Alpha Phi Alpha. Y'all hit that share button too. We haven't reminded you to do that. We really need y'all to hit that share button. And tell folks to join Team Red Pill. I've been sharing as well. We've got quite a robust audience already today too, Beth.
Yeah, it's a good audience. Miguel Garcia Caferta is watching.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome to Team Red Pill.
Welcome. And hit that share button, Miguel. And I want to thank everybody again for being here with us. I'm sorry I'm doing a bunch of grooming while I'm talking. But, man, the allergies out here, Beth, are still, the fall allergies in Santa Fe are something else. For those of you who live
here. Blast of cold weather and stuff, that didn't take care of that.
No, because we get a lot of, fall foliage and all kind of stuff moving around and happening. A lot of that stuff still going on. We've had some snows, but the leaves haven't gone away. So, it's still, everything is still throwing out that last blast, if you will.
Our leaves are still quite green here. We haven't seen a lot of foliage yet.
Yeah, we're still looking at a lot of that too. Okay, 10 seconds. Here we go. Okay. Turn your volume down on everything you have over
I
there.
just did.
Common sense. This is Call to Reason with your host, Loveless Johnson III, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader.
I'm ready for sunset, lightning in my bones. Push me to the edge, but my wind is strong. 'Cause I believe in a better way. Fools will be fools and wise will be wise. But I will look this world straight in the eyes. 'Cause I believe in a better way.
Welcome back to Call to Reason, everyone. You're right here with Loveless and with Beth. Team Red Pill is here to bring you your weekly alternative to alternate reality. Beth, boy, we really didn't want to take that news break. We were on a roll, and we're still on a roll. I want to just move on to a couple of other topics before we, are blessed with this week's installment of you telling the right person to shut the hell up.
I can't wait.
And I'm pretty excited to be able to tell the person who deserves it most this week to sit your ass down as well. So that's coming up after the bottom of the hour. Beth and I are going to get after it. In the meantime, Beth, what do you think about, let me just talk to folks a little bit about this so-called tax plan, this new GOP tax plan for the middle class. Now, I want to talk about that, Beth, and correlate it to some other movements in the rhetoric that has been coming out of the mouths of Republican leaders, particularly Mitch McConnell, who has, as of late, been talking a lot about how Medicare and Social Security have been the primary culprit behind these ballooning, out of control deficits and debt that our country is enduring right now. Now, we all know that's a huge lie, and I'll get back to that in a second. That is the most radically cruel and un-American propaganda that you could possibly infiltrate on senior citizens and veterans and old people who have served this country so well. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to use Ronald Reagan to back up just what I mean. And I'm going to show you how what a propagandist Mitch McConnell is and why is yet another reason it's so important. The 60% of us who see through this get to the polls to vote. Beth, the GOP says they're going to give us another tax cut, this one targeted toward the middle class. And so let me just quote from the article here from CNN. It says, Republicans are looking into implementing an additional tax break for the middle class Americans ahead of the midterm elections, President Trump said on Saturday. He said, Kevin Brady of Texas and Speaker Ryan of Wisconsin are working on developing a major tax cut for middle-income people in the coming weeks. If we do that, it will be sometime just prior, I would say, to November. Now, Beth, quick question. Didn't they say the last tax cut they just did that was like $3-some trillion was for working people in the middle class? Didn't they say it was a middle class tax cut?
Yeah,
Isn't that what they called it? So wait a minute. So now, didn't they call the last tax cut the middle class tax cut for the ages? Isn't that what Trump said? Biggest tax cut for the middle class in American history. And now they're telling us that really wasn't what it was. So now they're coming back with a tax cut for the middle class. It's a complete sham. And who in the hell is going to pay for it?
Look, Loveless, I mean, who the hell is going to believe it? supposed to be the working class tax cut. And the fact is that it blew up in their face. Everybody could see and everybody could read that if you were making 40 grand a year or less, that you would see maybe $100 this year, you know, in 2018, but in 2019, that you were going to actually owe. And then what people saw, if they were making 75 grand a year and less, that they would see a little bit in 18 and 19, but that in 2020 they would owe. So it was a sham. Somehow people figured it out. The tax code was really complicated, but I will say and give the media credit where credit is due. They did a great job, of breaking it down for people to understand that it was a sham. And as a result, it pulled horribly. And that was what they were, that's why they were going to campaign on that tax cut ahead of the midterms. Well, that blew up in their face. And so now then Trump said, well, let's separate kids from their parents at the border, and let's talk about immigration ahead of the midterms. That also blew up in their face because it turns out that women do not like to see kids torn apart from their mothers. That blew up in their face. The 60% is against that. They have to do something ahead of the midterms to campaign on. We've got less than 3 weeks ahead of the midterms. There's no way this is going to work. And meanwhile, the message that you have been hammering on for a year about the deficit, it's just going to, it's already exploded. And this new tax cut is going to do nothing but saddle generations to come with a crazy debt that I don't know, Barack Obama miraculously came in and ratcheted down that debt in the 8 years that he was there. Bill Clinton, back in the day, he wiped it all out, everything Reagan and Bush Sr. did. I don't know how we can turn that around under any presidency.
If George W. Bush had not been elected, and there were no Iraq War, and all the things he did to bankrupt the country and put us into recession, had that not happened, and we had stayed on the same financial track that Bill Clinton left us on, we would be running a surplus in our budget right now. We would have a surplus. We would be turning in about $172 billion in surplus back to the Treasury every year. We would have been able to lower taxes to accommodate that and do a little bit to balance that out. But at the end of the day, we would be a debt-free nation today. We would have zero debt, and we would still be turning over $100 billion in surplus per year had we stayed on the track that Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich left us on. But we know that's not the case. And these old people, all these old stodgy, so-called conservatives who will be dead and gone before the next generation even comes of age, are leaving our children, grandchildren, and now great-grandchildren to be born bankrupt. That is a reality. Folks, I know you may be sick of hearing me talk about this, but there is no greater threat to our national security than the debt and deficit this Republican borrow and binge Congress is leaving us. In reality, all these dog whistles and false red flags and all this kind of crap, it's the immigrants, it's the poor single mothers of 3 whose children are starving that are a threat to your security. No, folks. It's the ballooning out of control debt and deficit of this irresponsible borrow and binge GOP Congress that is the greatest threat to national security. Y'all can feel good about, this promotion and resurgence of white supremacy and white privilege all you want. It feels good now, but when your house is being foreclosed, it's not going to feel good. There's nothing about the warm blanket of your white supremacy that's going to keep you warm when you can't feed your children because you can't find a job. Thanks to this borrow and binge Republican Congress. And I don't care what color you are, what your religious beliefs are, what political party you in. These fools are bankrupting our country, and they've got to go, Beth. I'm so sorry they got to go.
Let's look at the coal mining states and the so-called flyover states. They still don't have more jobs. They still have people shutting down. In Wisconsin, you had Harley Davidson leave there. I mean, things are not getting better for the people who voted for Trump. What they do get is the feeling that they're better than everybody else and being able to call the police at will to remove people of color from their vicinity.
That's all right.
What they're getting from Trump, and that's what they like.
That's all right. 9:16, everybody. Beth and I are going to take another short break, but when we come back, it's going to be time for Beth to tell somebody to shut the hell up. I am going to play the clip, though. We're going to finish this conversation, Beth. We've talked about what the tax cuts, the sham of it, and the impact it's going to have. Now we're going to talk about, right after this break, I'm going to break down, and we're going to talk about this whole illusion and delusion that Medicare and Social Security are the problem for the conundrum we're in. We got to take a short break. When we come,
forget to talk about the nuclear deal too.
Oh, we definitely will. We absolutely will. Y'all stay tuned right here to Call the Reason on Talk 1260 and 103.7 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Leader, 9:17 a.m. and 42 degrees right here in Santa Fe. If you want to get on the show, you got a nonprofit you want to promote, send me an email, Loveless, Lovelles, Loveless at santafe.com, and we'll work with you as best we can. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTRC, Fe's News Talk Leader.
Okay, again, thank everyone who's here with us. Brother William, I see you are commenting. I'm too far away from the thing. I think it says home mortgage deductions also go away. Yes, yes, the sham is complete. The sham is complete.
Did they eliminate home mortgage deductions?
Yes. In order to cover the business tax, you know. Oh, these folks, they have ruined, Mitch McConnell has ruined all three branches of government, seriously. You know, and.
So that means people aren't going to buy homes anymore.
Right. No, it's going to be cheaper to rent. You know?
Whoa, I'm glad I sold my condo when I did.
Yep.
Dang. I didn't notice that because I sold my condo this year, so I didn't notice that part of the tax bill. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
So, I think
since we were talking about Reagan earlier, we really need to talk about this Russia nuclear treaty.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to give you a hint. You know, someone from the U.S. Senate is going to have to sit their ass down.
Is it Mitch McConnell again?
It's going to be Mitch McConnell.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's being very irresponsible, and he keeps acting like he's an adult in the room, but he's really not. And he's bought and sold. He's been purchased by oligarchs, just like all the rest of the GOP. Apparently, the lid on that Pandora's box hadn't even opened fully yet. But from what I'm seeing, Beth, we're gonna learn that the GOP has been infiltrated by the Russians way longer, probably before Trump even got on the scene. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that that's what we'll learn as this thing unfolds. And you know, now the anticipation is starting to build. They're starting to really get nervous because it's anticipated that Mueller is going to unleash a rash of super high level, super shocking indictments just after the election. Like right after the election is over, like maybe Kushner people like high level folks are going to get indicted. And we know that Mueller's silence has certainly not represented dumbness under any stretch of the imagination.
And I'm hoping that report's going to come out right after the election. You know,
I don't think the report's coming out after the election. I think the most decisive action of the Mueller team in plethora of indictments are going to come down to give us a clear picture, a much clearer picture about what the actual report would say. Okay, we've got about 1 minute, and we're going to rejoin Beth.
I just wanted to bring up a point real quick that
Sure.
William Meade brought up. He said the rich can build those apartment units. So you had mentioned earlier that it'll be cheaper to rent.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think that William is right, that that's sort of the design. If you have fewer people able to buy their own homes, they'll rent, and the 1% will make money off of the rentals. I mean, if they're decimating the middle class, and the American dream of home ownership. We're essentially becoming drones.
Essentially, and we're becoming slaves to just service, just like we're mules or cattle or any other livestock. They just want to keep us fed and well enough to do the work. And other than that, they could give a shit about us. Here we go. Let's go.
Common Sense and Reality Radio with your host, Loveless Johnson III, on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk Reader.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Glad you like the tunes, brother. Welcome back to Call a Reason, everyone. 9:23 on AM on a beautiful Sunday morning here in Santa Fe. We're still partly cloudy, but beautiful nonetheless. Looks to be about 47 degrees right now, on our way to a high of 61 here in the capital city. Beth, folks have been trying to find us all over social media, and I keep telling folks we're not hard to find. We're on Facebook. We've got a group and a page. The group is called A Reason, Reality Talk Radio, and the page is simply just Called A Reason. They can find us on Instagram, Called A Reason. They can find us on Twitter. Twitter handle's a little different. It's Loveless and Beth, Lovelless, the letter N, Beth, Loveless and Beth at Twitter. And on YouTube, simply Call a Reason. You can find us everywhere. Watch us there live during our show and our podcasts. And if you want to be on Call a Reason, if you want to be a part of Team Red Pill, and if you have a nonprofit organization especially that you want to promote and get community support for, please email us. You can email me, Loveless, Loveless, at santafe.com. And if you want to be a part of this discussion, dial on in at 505-424-1260, and we'll do our best to get you on. Beth, I hate to admit it, but this part of the show is always, for everyone, the highlight, and that's when they get to hear who you're going to tell to shut the hell up. So I'd like to know, who is the lucky winner this week?
Once again, I'm going to have to tell Chris Como of CNN to shut the hell up. Because once again, he had Lewandowski on his show to discuss how President Donald Trump commented and praised a Republican lawmaker for assaulting a reporter in 2017. This lawmaker is from Montana, and he was actually found guilty. He was not served for any time, but he definitely now has a record of having assaulted someone. And Corey Lewandowski is still a spokesperson for Trump. He's echoing Trump's anti-media agenda on CNN. Let's not forget that he was also accused of assaulting a female reporter while he was on the campaign trail for Donald Trump. This man is an accused assaulter of members of the media. Oh, and let's also not forget that the last time he was on CNN and someone brought up a disabled person, I can't remember the context of the story, but he went on and said, oh, womp womp. Womp womp. Why does CNN continue to have people like Lewandowski on their show? Someone who mocks the disabled, someone who has been accused of attacking reporters on the campaign trail, someone who supports Donald Trump's agenda of bringing down reporters and also saying, you know what, it's okay, and maybe if you're a candidate, you'll win if you body slam a reporter. Why does Chris Cuomo and CNN continue to have these propagandists, these, let's just call them fascists, because I think that that's who Lewandowski is, and liars on their show? And maybe he holds them accountable, not really. I mean, he yells at them, he gets kind of testy with them, but at the end of the day, when they go on the show, it validates their point of view, because essentially you've got Chris Cuomo on one side, Lewandowski on the other, and Chris Cuomo is acting as the naysayer, acting as the devil's advocate, and then Corey Lewandowski gets to make his point, legitimizing on national television, on a mainstream media outlet, his point of view, Donald Trump's authoritarian point of view. And there's no one else who goes on there to counter that point, only the alleged reporter. Why? Why do they continue to have Kellyanne Conway, who spouts off the Bowling Green conspiracy, a complete lie? On CNN, she says that there are alternative facts, and there are no alternative facts. Facts are facts. And they continue. And she did it on his show.
All the time.
They continue to have liars on the show. I am sure.
All the time.
Because I'm friends with the few. That there are conservatives that they can have on their show that don't go on and push propaganda and lie to the American people every time they go on the show.
That's right.
They not find somebody, anybody, who can go on the show, speak to the conservative consciousness, if one is left, maybe not. I don't understand, and I also don't understand, a long time ago, Jon Stewart went on Crossfire when Tucker Carlson was on there and Paul McGowan was on there. And he mocked them so shamelessly that they had to cancel the show. But now, on Anderson Cooper, on Chris Cuomo, you have that bovine excrement going on as a matter of course all through their primetime news. You cannot click on CNN or watch CNN without, I've seen, it looks like the Brady Bunch, screen splits, at 8 panelists at a time, all arguing with each other. There are no experts, it's political hacks and members of the media yelling at each other.
It's pretty embarrassing. It's pretty embarrassing.
It's humiliating themselves every single day on a national network in front of in front of millions of viewers, and you know what? It's not journalism, and it's not news, and we don't learn a damn thing from it. Chris Como and CNN and all of these panelists can shut the hell up. Every day, shut up.
I guess y'all heard it, because I sure did. Thank you for that, Beth. Look, folks, we gotta take another break. And on the other side, when we come back, I am indeed going to tell the next one who deserves it to sit your ass down.
Now I need to take my blood pressure pill.
Well, good thing we're headed to commercial. Y'all stay tuned right here to Talk 1260 and 1037, KTRC Santa Fe's News Talk leader. You're on Call to Reason, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for being here. Beth and I are just so delighted to have you. Beth, I'm going to go ahead and play the clip from Ronald Reagan, a mashup between Ronald Reagan and Mitch McConnell, talking about tax policy and talking about appropriate discussion and languaging surrounding the budget.
Yeah.
Reagan pointed out very succinctly as a candidate that Social Security and Medicare are not part of the general fund of the federal government. And if you cut them, that cut would not go into the general fund of the budget. It would go into the Medicare Trust Fund account. So all that money is separate. Cutting it doesn't do anything for the debt or the deficit because those things aren't part of the budget that results in a debt or deficit. They're unassociated. Yet the Republicans keep trying to link it to be able to raid those funds to pay for their egregious borrow and binge spending habits. It's a farce. It's actually against the law, and American citizens have to get in the game to vote these fools out. So, because there's no other way to hold them accountable for breaking the law. How are we going to put them in jail? Who's going to enforce that? They're the ones in charge. We have to get people in charge that we can rely on, who we can trust, who are going to do what's in the interest of the people. Otherwise, we are going to perish, my friend.
Well,
simple as that.
Before we leave today, we still need to talk about the Russia nuclear treaty, because this is something that I feel like has flew like totally under the radar screen with everything else going on this week. So if we have a second, we should at least mention that.
We definitely will. And we can definitely try to podcast. We can podcast this week. So we let folks know what's happening and to tune in to the podcast. We'll break it all down for them once all the information is available. Let me see here. This is our... Yep, looks like we've got about, I don't know, a minute and a half. What have you found anything else out about the treaty or any more reactions with Trump's, what he wants to do there?
You know, there's, Gorbachev is, obviously this was also a signature Gorbachev move in his presidency, and so he's probably sincere about calling it a mistake. So this is BBC News saying, you know, it was signed near the end of the Cold War. This treaty, a period of relations between the U.S. and Soviet Union from 1945 to 1989. Marked by a sense of international tension overshadowed by the threat of nuclear conflict. Speaking to Interfax on Monday, Mr. Gorbachev described Mr. Trump's decision as a mistake and warned that it could undermine disarmament efforts. Trump is saying that Russia denied, or Trump is saying that Russia is breaking the treaty, which is his rationale for trashing it, and that there's tensions rise as we threaten to take out Russian missiles. I think this is Trump trying to pretend to poke Russia in the eye. I think it's a bunch of BS. I think they both want to stockpile nuclear armaments. It's no mystery that that Trump just said, "Why?"
Oh, here we go.
Middle East. Why don't we just nuke people?
Here we go, Beth.
Pretty well known he likes to think about that.
Something told me it was over. When I saw you and her talking, something deep down in my soul said, cry, girl. When I saw you and that girl walking down, ooh, I would rather go blind, boy, than to see you walk away from me, child.
I'd rather go blind, y'all, than to see the GOP win another election and voter apathy make it possible. I'd rather go blind than see American citizens walk away from their responsibility as patriots to save our democracy and get rid of this borrow and bend Republican Congress, ensuring that your grandkids are going to be born bankrupt and your mom and grandparents are going to die a miserable, broke death. I'd rather go blind. Beth. Want to welcome everybody back to Call to Reason right here with Loveless and Beth. We're heading down the stretch on our way in to meet the press. And we do want to mention that President Trump announced yesterday that he was withdrawing, pulling out yet another international agreement, this time the bilateral agreement with Russia on nuclear weapons, the intermediate range missile treaty that Ronald Reagan signed with Mikhail Gorbachev back in the 80s. And the justification is that Russia has been violating the treaty the whole time. So the U.S. might as well pull out so they can, do what they want to do. It's really, it could be something he and Putin conspired to do when they met back in the summer. And simply so they both could, just have a free-for-all arms race to satisfy their egos. Who knows? But Beth and I are going to talk a lot more about that throughout the week during our podcast. But now, Beth...
I just wanted to say that for all of the lip service that our president gives about revering President Reagan, this intermediate range nuclear forces treaty and the fall of the Berlin Wall are two signature pieces of President Reagan's legacy, and Trump is just completely obliterating it, and any self-respecting Republican should be outraged.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally. And so you gotta wonder, folks. So listen, we're trying to figure out what we want to do when it comes to this whole tax cut. Is it good? How are we going to pay for it? Blah, 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 blah. And Mitch McConnell, we knew during this first tax cut that it was going to become an issue with how we're going to pay for it. It was predicted. We all knew that they were going to try to say, oh, well, Social Security and Medicare are the reason why this is happening, and we're alarmed. We're shocked. You know, ding, 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 ding. We are shocked by this big debt and deficit we have, and oh my God, it's out of control. We got to do something about it. They continue to fail to point out that they created it with their borrow and binge ways and this big ridiculous tax sham that they passed, and then a second tax sham. Now they're talking about a third tax sham, none of which are paid for. They said the first one would pay for itself. It has not. Inflation has wiped out any gains you may have gotten in a so-called tax cut. And now the country's on a pathway to bankruptcy that we may never be able to recover from. This may be like the Roman Empire, the initiation of the Great Fall, from which we will never reemerge, just as the Roman Empire never re-emerged. Our literal lives are being played with by a bunch of greedy, oligarch, bought and sold white supremacists. And folks, if we don't get to the polls, it's going to stop. The word conservative, it doesn't even mean what it used to mean.
That's true.
I'm gonna prove it to you right now. Let's play a little mashup where Ronald Reagan, up until the Tea Party and all these racists took over, was the standard bearer of conservatism in America. Even up until 2016, Republicans were quoting, "What would Reagan do?" That was the standard bearer for conservative thinking. Here's a mashup of a real conservative, Ronald Reagan, versus a Tea Party white supremacist, Mitch McConnell, and the realities of what these borrow and binge Republicans are doing to our budget and our country right now. Y'all have got to hear what this man had to say. Here we go, y'all. Did y'all hear that? That was from Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan just told you what the truth was. Did you hear it? Social Security has nothing to do with the debt or deficit in reality. And we do promise to bring you the alternative to alternate reality. Isn't that what we promised, Beth?
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell, stop lying to the American people, man. Sit your ass down. Stop lying to the American people, Republican Party, GOP Congress. Stop lying to the American people. Social Security and Medicare have nothing to do with the debt nor the deficit. Your irresponsible borrow and binge spending and mismanagement of money, misprioritization of where the money should go. The borrow and binge Republican Congress and their ways alone, ladies and gentlemen, is why we have a huge debt and out of control deficit. It is the reason why our country is on the way to fiscal and financial ruin. It is the reason your grandkids are going to be born broke and your parents might go penniless as well. It is the reason why you have to vote as if though your life depends on it, starting right now. If early voting is open in your state, Get to the damn polls now. So as Beth said, you can be there to help other people get to the polls on election day.
Yep.
Our lives depend on it, folks. Mitch McConnell, sit your ass down with that lie about Social Security and Medicare being the reason for the debt and deficit. They're not even associated with the federal budget where the debt and deficit are calculated. They're separate funds, and if there were any cuts or savings, that money would go back into their trust fund accounts, not the general budget. Stop lying, Mitch McConnell. Sit your ass down. Mainstream media, sit your ass down and stop reporting Mitch McConnell telling those lies. Stop giving him the airspace to tell those lies to the American people. Too many vulnerable people are scared out here because they realize their lives depend on it, and they're counting on us to give them what's real. Sit your ass down, Mitch McConnell. Beth, we got to take our final break. We're going to come back after that and talk about winners and winners. Hard to find a winner this week, but I know we will.
I got 2.
Great. Well, you can share one with me then. Y'all stay tuned to Call the Reason. Beth and I will be right back. 9:46 a.m. and it's 48 degrees in Santa Fe. On our way to a high of 61. You're right here. Talk 1260 and 1037. KTRC Santa Fe's News Talk leader. You're on Call the Reason. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more Call to Reason, Santa Fe's Common Sense Checkpoint, here on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader.
Okay, y'all. We are in our final commercial break. And Beth, who are your winners this week? Beth, who are your winners this week? Who are your winners this week?
Well, the early voters, for sure. And then I think I'm going to resurrect this story from March about how Trump, single men in the Trump administration are having a hard time dating in D.C. And so my winners are going to be all the single ladies in D.C. who are refusing to date these dudes and suggest that everybody else should follow suit. But apparently the young women are not having any of it. It's the older ladies my age and that seem to be the Trump lovers. I don't think these dudes want to date us.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. Y'all are way too old. Y'all are way too old for these misogynists. They want some young things. They want some young things.
A special app for dating Trump supporters.
Yeah, called Trump Date or something, right?
Yeah, TrumpSingles.com.
Yeah.
That's sad.
That's very sad. I bet it's mostly dudes, though. Like, if you search the profiles, I bet it's probably 80% dudes.
Oh, my God. And 5 days ago, Time reported that Donald Daters, the new dating...
That's what it is. Donald Daters. Donald Daters, yeah.
Donald Daters. The new dating app for Trump supporters leaked its users' data on launch day. Wow.
But it's still, I think it was 80% men who were members. I think the whole thing was set up as a big data mining prank. Like they mined all that data just to do that to those idiots.
They need to find out who to raise money off of.
I know, right? Well, we're gonna have fun with that. Okay, 10 seconds, Beth. Here we go.
All right.
For your best election night coverage on Tuesday,
Oh,
November
Beth,
6th.
listen,
it's
listen,
Talk
listen.
1260 and 1037 KTRC. And streaming at SantaFe.com. The governor's race tops local political interest, but down ballot and legislative contests demand attention for all of the national, New Mexico, and local results. Keep it on Talk 1260 and 1037 KTRC. And streaming at SantaFe.com. Santa Fe's News Talk leader.
The land is the foundation.
Oh, I'm sorry. We got another minute and a half, Beth. This thing always does that to me. It confuses me for a second. Yeah,
No worries.
we are broadcasting live election night coverage here from the studios, and they have assembled that what they're calling New Mexico's, or they're calling it the political power team. The political power team of analysts. It's going to be Richard Eads, the head political reporter for the Santa Fe New Mexican, a TV commentator, and myself.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I'm doing live election night coverage.
Call in for me.
I will figure out a way to get you to be able to call in so we can have. But I'm doing all night starting.
We have to have a little call to reason action on that.
I'm gonna definitely be live streaming it.
In Georgia.
I'm gonna be live streaming it. So you keep your iPad handy, because if Stacey Abrams win, I know I can pull you into the live stream we're gonna do from her victory party, and that will be hella, because you could call in, especially like if you're gonna be in Georgia and she wins, you can call in from the victory party and at least just let us, give us a live report from there.
Yeah.
So be ready for that. Okay, here we go.
Loveless Johnson III on KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader.
I love the Arctic Monkeys.
Have you got color in your cheeks? You ever get that feel that you can't shift the tide that sticks around like summits in your teeth? Are there some aces up your sleeve? Have you no idea that you're in deep? I dreamt about you nearly every night this week. How many secrets can you keep? 'Cause there's this tune out.
Welcome back to Call to Reason, everyone. You were Loveless and Beth on our way down the stretch. Our final segment, before we give way to meet the press. Beth, who are your winners this week? It's time for winners and winners. Who are your winners?
Okay. Quick shout out to the early voters and people who are volunteering to drive other people to polls. But my big winners this week, I'm going back to a story that was released in March by Vice, stating that conservatives are whining because no one wants to date them in D.C. Apparently, it's not easy to get laid in the Capitol if you're a Republican. And so that coupled with this week that Trump's dating app purposefully leaked the list of all the people registered on their site, the name, photo, and personal message, and token to steal their session, which I don't know what that means. But anyway, apparently the Trump single dudes are so hard up that they need an app to get hooked up with other women who might like them. And what we know is that the single ladies, the young single ladies, are not having any of the Trumpers. It's the older ones, my age and above, who seem to like him. So my winners are all the single ladies in D.C.
All right. That's funny, Beth. My winners are, again, like you. I'm going with all the people who are taking it to the streets.
Yeah.
All the ordinary Americans who are taking the extraordinary step of taking it to the streets as early as they can. They're standing in the rain. They're waiting on a line that's an hour or 2 hours long. But under no circumstances are they allowing themselves to miss this opportunity to vote and to have their
Hell
voice
yeah.
heard and to have our democracy restored to its proper place. This is not about taking the country back, ladies and gentlemen. This is about taking democracy back and putting it back in its proper place. And through our extraordinary acts as ordinary citizens, we can also restore the word patriot to its proper place in American lexicon again. And we can take it back from the racists and white supremacists who make us cringe when we hear the word patriot because it's been a code word for their crap. No, real patriots vote. Real patriots vote early, become extraordinary, and add your name to the list of my winners this week. And that's all the folks who early vote.
And as David Bowie said, be a hero for one day.
That's right. Folks, Meet the Press is coming up. Meet the Press is coming up next. And after that, there's a lot more going on KTRC. But you don't want to miss Meet the Press. And you want to make sure you tune in every Monday through Friday from 1 o'clock p.m. to 5 p.m. for the Richard Eads Show. Richard Eads is on here every day. And we love hearing his show. It's a pretty powerful local show, Beth. A lot of folks listen to it. And
Yes,
he covers a lot of great issues.
Yeah, it was awesome to be on his show and to get to know him better and to listen to him while I was in Santa Fe. I really enjoyed his show.
And he's anchoring this. He's anchoring the live election night coverage, and so it's going to be an honor to work with him. And so yeah, you make sure. And folks, by the way, there is election night coverage on KTRC on November 6th. So starting at 7 p.m., you can tune in as soon as the polls close and hear all about what's been happening. And by then, of course, it'll be 9 o'clock on the East Coast. So I'll be on to cover a lot of the national races. Hopefully by then, Beth will be able to call in from the Stacey Abrams victory party in Georgia and let us touch and feel that crowd as she reports for us the amazing, historic and groundbreaking victory of Stacey Abrams, who we're predicting is going to be the next governor of the state of Georgia. Beth, we got to get out of here. It's that time, everybody. Y'all stay tuned for Meet the Press. We'll see you next Sunday from 8 to 10. Y'all make sure you stay tuned and tune in to us right here. Talk 1260 and 1037 KTRC, Santa Fe's News Talk leader. If it's Sunday, it is Call to Reason as well, and we will see you next week. Y'all make sure you tune in to our podcast and hit that share button if you're watching us on social media. Beth, I love you. We'll see you next week.
Love you too.
Keep your self-respect. Your man equal
Thanks, everybody, for being here. We hope you all have enjoyed it as much as we have.
Keep your stride.
Had a lot of participation in our meet today. Thanks to James and James Washington and William Meade for all of the dialogue. That was awesome. And also our friend Michael Wadrup from Atlanta, a regular listener and viewer on Facebook. Thanks for joining in with us.
There we go, y'all. That's a wrap on Call to Reason for this week. And we hope you all enjoyed the show as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. We really do enjoy this week after week. I know I do. Beth, do you enjoy it
I love
too?
it. I look forward to it every week, and it's actually cathartic. It's a bit of a therapy session for me with our listenership and our viewership. So it's good for me as well, and I'm glad that we have great followers and grateful to our listeners. So it's rewarding work.
We have a good time with it for sure. And I'm just grateful that everybody's here. Hit the share button on your way out if you haven't already, so everybody can see the replay. It's archived everywhere it's being broadcast, no matter you're watching on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Doesn't matter. It's archived. Hit that share button. Let your friends know that they can check it out too and join Team Red Pill. We're going to see y'all this week. We are definitely going to podcast this week. Going to be too much going on. Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to do it, and we'll look forward to it. See you all then. Until then, peace out.
Bye, Team Red Pill. Have a good week.
Great week, everybody. Welcome, everyone. Call the Reason. Douglas here with you, and Beth is going to be joining us on the Facebook stream, so you can all hear her on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. We are here on all 4 locations with you today. And YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we are doing it all today. All right, y'all. Thank you again here on YouTube as well. You got an extra part of the show, the end, the wrap. And thank you. We'll see you again next week.